This week's DRM Not Included in F5 Live is proudly powered by Amazon Prime. We all know you get free shipping with Prime, but you get a whole lot more. In fact, you get free music with Amazon Prime Music, free TV, movies, and documentaries with Amazon Prime Video, free games, and a free Twitch subscription to support the content creator of your choice with Amazon Prime Gaming, and of course, a whole lot more. To learn more and to get a 30-day free trial if you're not a subscriber, plus quick links to these features and more, you can go to f5live.tv/prime. A couple weeks ago, we found out that Netflix was having some subscriber issues. In particular, they had their first subscriber loss in more than a decade. They attributed it to things that the numbers are a little dubious on. One of those things was password sharing. They believed that some of their revenue loss was because of password sharing, and they were going to start enforcing. They weren't changing their policies, simply going to start enforcing the policy on an account only being for a household, and a household being people that live together. They started mostly in South America, in a couple of countries. Chile, Costa Rica, Peru have been some of the most high profile, where they've been testing some new policies, and as you might expect, not been going well. The way it works is if they believe they have identified that you are sharing a password, you will get a notification. You either have to verify that you are not, or pay an extra $3 per additional user on your account per month. In these countries, some interesting things have been happening. Apparently, if you call support has the ability to give you a verification code to bypass the $3 a month. And the people in the South American support seem to not care at all and are just giving out these codes. You call and say, hey, no, that's... my sister must have just logged in, opened it on her phone at a friend's house. Okay, here's your verification code. The end. But more interestingly, a lot of people aren't getting the message at all. So their detection's not been great. And the ones that are being detected and are not getting codes, they're getting support people who are sticklers, a lot of them are just canceling. Which is the opposite of the solution that they're looking for. Obviously, Netflix is specifically trying to stem subscriber loss. That was the whole thing, right? And somehow it's driving more subscriber loss. It seems like this was either not thought out or some sort of panic move. What do you think, Abram?
I think they should hire Metallica drummer Lars Ulrich to be in charge.
Elaborate?
Well, he's the guy behind telling people, behind trying to sue people for, behind trying to stop people from sharing their MP3s. So, I mean, he has experience in how to maintain your reputation while punishing users, punishing fans who've done you wrong. So, maybe they should hire him to be in charge of this effort.
Certainly in charge of the public perception aspect of it.
Right, complain about how people are stealing, whatever. I mean, it is a problem I'm sure, and Netflix and other providers are going to have to, find more creative technical ways to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
What they might choose to do, could you sort of geo locate someone's connection? Like, oh, okay, which I know then means that you could not use it on the go, or if you went on vacation or whatever. But theoretically,
it does seem to be part. It does seem to be part of what's happening here, because legitimately, you can call support and say my sister has been using it on her phone at a friend's house, and they just go, okay, here's a code. That's it. So there does seem to be some either geo or IP tracking involved in it. but they don't seem confident in it for many of the reasons that we just said.
Yeah, I mean, they could have, of course, try to roll back, what you could do with mobile devices, but then you have, I mean,
It's where a lot of
theoretically, I
their
guess,
business happens.
yeah, I mean, I guess theoretically, if I were them, I would do something like they do with offline downloads, like maybe your phone it can continue to use Netflix if it's bit checked into the prime location within the last week or something like that.
Okay. It's an interesting solution.
Like if oh, okay, your phone continues to be authorized as long as you've been back to home base within the last so often. Now, that if you go on a vacation, that's no good.
Sure.
If you are a person who travels a lot, that's no good. So I don't know how you do that. Maybe they come up with a price tier for this, and it's like you have a travel plan or something like that. Um, Now, that's not, I mean, that's a lot of going around, that's a lot of taking away things now that people take for granted, which is just that
Mm-hmm.
it's just going to work wherever you go.
Right.
So, I mean, they created a tough situation for themselves. You know what would really solve some of their problems, though? Having some better content. Um,
Right, and that's
because,
part of the problem, right? It's the most expensive of all the competitors, at $15.49, and
right,
the content has been sliding. Those are the two things that I point out as probably the driver of their subscriber loss. Right? Yes,
yes,
we've got Stranger Things, Umbrella Academy, and Stranger Things. Yes.
yeah, I mean,
The floor is
honestly,
floor is lava is fun, but it's not going to keep me subscribed to the service.
yeah. I mean, honestly, I think I would. My friends and colleagues at Tom's Guide actually periodically come out with articles saying what you should cancel this month or something like that, because people are trying to figure out like what to keep and what to cancel every month. And uh, you know, after second part of Stranger Things comes on, I if it were up to just me, I would cancel. Um,
It's
my
on my
wife would probably
agenda.
would like to continue it. Would like to continue. I think she still has things she wants to see on Netflix or whatever, but I would cancel it. Um, Really, I don't see the point. There's
Hmm.
not a lot of original content on Netflix that's very good.
Yeah.
I mean, they throw a lot of money at junk. Like,
Yes, they do.
they've had a couple of good series in the case, but then there's a lot more that's not good. So
The fact that every time we talk about this, we basically come back to the same two series is not a
I mean,
great
that's at least
sign.
what you and I want to see.
But
But
that's not
yeah,
a great sign, right? Because on some of the other services, we could probably name things that we want to watch significantly
right.
more.
You got it. You got it. So let's see. What have I watched recently? Well, I've watched Star Trek: Strange New Worlds and Picard. Okay,
Yep.
that's the Paramount Plus, which is cheaper.
Which
I've watched
brings us in line officially with our recommendations on Netflix. Continue.
right Obi-Wan Kenobi. I watched the Obi-Wan show on Disney Plus.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and on Disney, I mean, and I'm sure I'll be watching Ms. Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so like, so
She-Hulk.
there's enough She-Hulk. So there's enough stuff on Disney Plus. Uh, Now maybe one of
Because
Netflix's problems
they've got
is
solid franchises that they can build on.
right
Netflix hasn't
doesn't
tried that, right? Like they could build off of Stranger Things if they wanted to. I think it would ruin the experience, but they could milk that cow a lot harder than they are.
I think
Uh,
yeah they could. I mean I think the other problem is that they just I mean, they've made some attempts. What was that show that the superhero show they had last year where
Mm-hmm.
it was, they canceled it like 2 days after it came out?
Yeah.
I'm
I can't
trying to
think of what
remember
it
the
is.
name of it.
I can
I
see the
saw
poster
it.
for it.
It wasn't very good. But they spent like hundreds of millions. They threw a lot of good money out
Yeah.
for bad stuff. Uh, Although they had some nerve, I think somebody there was complaining that they shouldn't have given money for Martin Scorsese to make The Irishman, which was not really up my alley. But I mean, of all of the low class stuff that you do, uh, to be
Yeah.
complaining about making like a Martin Scorsese movie with Al Pacino in it uh, is a bit rich in my opinion. Like,
Yeah.
let's worry about all the money you spend on, like, Red Notice or whatever. I mean, those things are cute, but ultimately very forgettable.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the other things that Netflix I think has as a problem is, and maybe the price is part of it, but like other services that I get, I buy for a year, so I don't think about them month to month.
Sure.
Maybe Netflix should do that. The Should give you a discount for buying for a year, because Disney Plus, Paramount Plus, BritBox, and Acorn TV, all of which I have, are all pay for a year.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's not very much for a year. I think, like, Paramount is something like $60, $70, something like that. Same thing with like Acorn TV, BritBox. Um, but like, so if like a month goes by and I don't use anything on it, I don't feel bad because I paid for the year. um and I know over the course of the year I'm gonna use it. But
Also, I really like. I don't know how it looks on other platforms, but I really like the way the app works on the Xbox.
which, the Paramount Plus?
Uh huh.
Yeah. It's I mean,
I like the
I'm
animation when you select one of the networks. Um, there's like a zoom
uh
in coloring animation that happens that I really like.
oh, I didn't
I'm
get
bit.
that today. I didn't get that today. We were just using it today with my son, although we didn't really select a network. We selected a show, so I don't
When
know if
you
that matters. We were on a
so
Roku.
there's the I know I shouldn't continue to call it this, but I always call it the idiot bar at the top that has the most recent things, and then there's the tiles for
Yes.
networks below it. And when you
Yes.
just select on, you don't have to even select it. Just when you go down to it before you get down to the shows, it you go to it and like the CBS logo is first, and it does like this thing, and then it
I
goes back out when you unselect it. It's pretty cool. I like the animation. And
I
again, it
will
might
I
only
will
be
check
Xbox.
I will check where I will probably be watching something on it very soon. So I will I will check and see if it does that on Roku, which is what we primarily use in this house. But um
It's my favorite part of the app on the Xbox. I love the little animations. They
but
stopped working for like three
just
days and it annoyed me.
from the Star Trek stuff, that's enough for
Yeah,
us to have Paramount, right?
100%.
Uh, just from the Marvel and Star Wars stuff is enough for us to have Disney Plus, and then you have things that come on a couple times a year, like Encanto, which is like, okay, like, so.
Sure.
But Netflix, yeah, Netflix. I don't. There's not a lot on there. It's like, oh, I really want to see Netflix.
Yeah.
It doesn't have. The thing is, it's trying to be all things to all people,
Uh huh.
and it's like one of their shows. It's a master of none. Um, so it has no, it's nothing it's particularly known for,
Although
right?
ironically, one of the shows of theirs that I have enjoyed.
you know, I mean, they've had shows here and there that were fun, but
Yeah.
it it's I don't know, it just doesn't have an identity. So even if you do end up watching
Right.
stuff on it, you're kind of like, what did I watch? What did I see? Um,
The only identity
other
that they seem
networks
to
have other.
be I don't know if it's on purpose or on accident, and they've got a series parodying themselves, which I don't know was a great idea. is true crime. I mean, that has either purposefully or accidentally become a big part of their identity. They do a lot of those documentaries that don't really cover the content.
Some of them have been good. So a lot of those have been good, although they're not coming out with them frequently enough for me to subscribe for that reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've definitely, like, that's what I've ended up watching on Netflix quite a bit. But yeah, it's not, I don't think it's enough, but still okay. And they've done some interesting experiments with interactive shows.
Sure.
That I don't think anybody else has, but still, I don't think it's that's great. Have you tried Cat Burglar?
Is that the one that we talked about?
Yeah, I think we talked about it. It's a cartoon where you make choices.
Here's the interesting thing that I've learned about that. Same producer as Black Mirror Bandersnatch. That was a shock. Apparently, kids' content is where he started. And Black Mirror was almost an accident, and he got the opportunity to go back into kids' content.
I mean, I don't know. That cat burglar can get really seriously hurt. I don't know if this is kids' content. No,
okay,
I'm kidding. I played it with my. It looks a lot like a Warner Brothers.
Okay,
but
yeah, no, I haven't done it.
Yeah.
It is on my agenda though. Especially after our conversation, and then like a week later, I learned that it's either the same producer or director or something that put it all together. And it was like an evolution of what they did with Black Mirror, which I thought was fascinating. So it's definitely on my short list for those reasons. But yeah, I don't know if Netflix is going to be able to dig themselves out of this password sharing thing. They've made such a big deal about it, and it doesn't seem to be working. They've got other problems that they should be addressing. Yes, they've canceled some big budget nonsense projects over the last couple of weeks. We're apparently into the... I saw a thing. We're apparently into the dozens now of shows that have been canceled, either pre or during production. They canceled one thing that is complete, which I think is a mistake, because I can't imagine that uploading it to the FTP server could be that expensive that it was time to cancel that. But I don't know. But like, they're on a lumberjack spree here. They are just chopping stuff down, possibly actually addressing the throwing too much money at nothing issue. Maybe. We'll see.
You know, I remember we talked about this a couple of years ago about the amount of content they were putting out. I said something at one time like, how do they know that this content is actually keeping subscribers? Because the best Netflix subscriber from an economic perspective is one who views nothing and just keeps their account going.
Right.
But and it's turned out that the quality of the content has proven to matter because people are canceling it. People actually are canceling it. So now all of a sudden they're deciding that they're going to instead of doubling down on content, cut down on content, and that is a recipe for decline. I think what's going on is what we've noticed is there's a lot of competition. Competition has franchises and identities that people care about. Netflix is everything. It tries to be all things to all people, but is pretty much has pretty much no identity. And now it's cutting down on the content that it's giving. So I expect it will lose more. It will lose more people. They need to probably find something that is like the thing that people feel like they can't live without. It also probably hurts them that they don't do things in a week by week basis, whereas others do.
Yeah. Most of their stuff doesn't come out weekly. So there have been a couple, but yeah, generally they just dump it all on you. Like The Circle, they do in like 4 episode batches across 3 weeks, 4, and then the finale the third week. But that's not quite the same, right? That doesn't drag out the desire the way something like Star Trek does, or Obi-Wan. I want to say The Mandalorian, but I knew that one wasn't running right now.
Right. So like they get like Disney Plus gets like a 5 weeks or something out of that show, where people who want to watch the show, they got to stay subscribed for those 5 weeks. Netflix, it's like,
and then they have the
binged
next big thing lined up right behind it, right? Paramount Plus is another great example with the Star Trek stuff. They overlap the shows 1 week, the way their schedule is built right now. They're overlapping them one at a time. There's 1 week of overlap, and their schedule is filled through like September or October with new Star Trek stuff.
Right, exactly. So like, you're paying to watch one show at a time, but at least you're getting one show at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and for less.
Even Amazon.
For less money.
Even Amazon, I feel compelled to say that The Boys is on now on Amazon, and everyone should watch it. Although nobody under 18, but everyone else should should watch it, and that's also rolling out. Like, I think they did the first 3 episodes this Friday, but generally it's one a week.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's definitely a different mindset, and everybody else seems to be succeeding where Netflix is not. So figure it out, guys. Figure it out. Hello, YouTube. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of F5 Live Refreshing Technology. If you did, please subscribe to the channel down below, and of course hit the notification bell, because we know that subscriptions don't mean much on YouTube anymore. If you've got topics that you'd like us to talk about in the future, please comment them down below. And if you'd like to not follow us on YouTube, there's lots of ways that you can follow along with our content by going to PLUGHITZlive.com/subscribe. There you'll see all of our shows and all of the ways that you can watch, listen, and follow along.